Welcome back to Heart of Glass, the podcast, the show that takes a deeper, more intimate look at the awesome people who make up the heartbeat of the Glass City. My name is Ashley Cohn, and I'm your host, and you may have noticed that we are not in our normal recording space. We are actually at Music Go Round in Toledo, Ohio. The owner, Gary Wagner, has graciously allowed us to record here, and it's very, very appropriate considering who our guest is today. Today's guest has lived in Toledo since the early 80s. He's led a very interesting life that's included hitchhiking cross-country and working on a Texas shrimp boat. He is a singer-songwriter and the frontman for the blues rock band Buck 69. And he runs a Facebook group called Playing Tonight in Toledo that offers a platform for local musicians to advertise their gigs. If you're a repeat watcher or listener of the podcast, you're already familiar with his work because you hear it at the beginning and the end of each episode. Yes, Glass City humans, he's the writer and performer of our intro-outro song, I Am Toledo. I give you Mr. Tom Clawson. Tom, thank you so much for being here. I feel like we've been leading up to this all season.
Yes, yeah. I really appreciate what you're doing. It's awesome.
Thank you,
Phenomenal.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, one, because I'm excited for all the people that have been listening and watching since the beginning to meet you and actually put a face to the name, and also for us to learn a little bit more about you because you have a very big mark on our podcast. So I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, like I said.
Well, thank you. I feel like we're in a very appropriate environment today, don't you? This is great. What better way to have our writer of our intro-outro song than to have them in an environment filled with guitars today.
It is nice. It's
right?
Nice. Yeah, I played a singer-songwriter here a couple years ago out front. It was nice.
Did you really? That's awesome.
Good atmosphere, everything.
Yes.
Gary's a great guy.
Gary is a great guy, most definitely. Yeah. So you gave me so much good information when you gave me your story. Okay. And we're just going to start from the beginning. So I know you grew up in Warren, Ohio, and I like doing a little bit of background on our guests' hometowns if they're not our city, because obviously I'm familiar with Toledo and its history, but not other cities in Ohio. And I was doing a little research on Warren and discovered that it was the first street illumination that ever happened in the U.S. Did you know that?
No, I did.
Well, hey, there you go. That's Warren.
See, and that's why I had to be home when the street lights come on, right?
Right. Well, Warren was one of the first places to do that.
I'll be darned. I didn't know that. So interesting. See, I learned something new today.
Awesome.
That's
the goal
in life,
right?
Learn something new every day.
So what was it like growing up in Warren, Ohio?
Excellent. It was the 70s. It was the best of times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Warren's a pretty small town, right?
It is. It's gone downhill. A lot of the mills and stuff like that are closed now.
Okay.
So it's deteriorated greatly. Truthfully, I've been in a lot of cities all over the United States, and honestly, Toledo, this is home.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Well, you have lived here for a long time.
Yeah, it's home. I love this city.
I do
absolutely.
Too. Yeah. I can definitely tell. Yeah, most definitely. When did you start playing the guitar, and have you always been a Taylor guy?
I started when I was about 16, and actually my first guitar was a Fender F-150 my dad bought me.
I love it.
He didn't really want to buy it for me, but long story. But 6 months later after that, I was playing in the bars and country, Merle, Haggard, Cash, Hank Williams, that kind of stuff. And then he went ahead and he bought me a Fender Quad Reverb amp and a Gibson L6S guitar, and I played bars for free, for money, whatever I could, just like all the young kids want to do when they first start playing. I was drinking a lot, that kind of stuff, and it was not good for me. Got married at 18 and joined the Army and just kind of got away from it for a while.
So I'm actually really impressed that you were playing out in bars 6 months after you picked up a guitar.
Well,
because so just to give frame of reference, so myself, I started playing when I was like 9.5. I didn't play in my first bar until my early 20s. So I'm just impressed by that, because I know what you have to learn, what you have to garner to be able to feel comfortable enough to do that.
Right. I'm the oldest out of 7. I got 3 brothers, 3 sisters, and growing up, I spent a lot of time in my attic. My mom listened to Detroit, Motown, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My dad listened to bluegrass and country.
Okay.
So I had a good mix of that. No one was musically inclined or got into music, but I loved it. And I'd sit in the attic and I'd sing every freaking Hank Williams song, every
That's
Johnny
great.
Cash song, Mick Jagger, everything. And sing, along with the records and stuff. But I was in sports a lot, and I didn't decide till I was probably like 16. I quit football. My dad was very angry. And I said, this is what I want to do. I seen a band at some stupid ice cream social and Johnny Be Good and rocking out. And then I seen the story about Hank Williams Sr. and his story of his life. And I said, that's it. That's what I want to do.
Right. You just
and
knew.
When I got in the bars, I was playing covers, but at the same time, I was already starting to write songs. Boyfriend, girlfriend, I broke my heart kind of thing. And
love songs, absolutely.
So it was that kind of thing. I had a class in high school where we studied song lyrics, stuff like that and everything. And we all had to do a fake television show.
Okay.
We had to get a group of people, like 6 out of the class, and you picked your own show. And so we did like the late night Johnny Carson type thing. And I did Dylan. And brought a guitar in, and I played one of my originals, and I can still remember. It's like I woke up at 3:30 this morning, went downstairs to get a hit of acid, passed my old man on the kitchen floor, passed out drunk and blasted. Well, I was going downstairs to get a Pepsi out of the refrigerator, so that's where the acid come in, But it was just to play on the words, and I was like, that's just so cool. You could do that, right?
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to write songs, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. Was right.
I actually find that very impressive because I think the wordplay aspect of songwriting, not everybody grabs onto that right away, and the alliteration and illustration and everything. So that's actually really awesome to me that you grabbed onto that so quickly.
Well, now I'm even more into even breaking down syllables and how many words in the line and that kind of thing. But there's 2 kinds of writing. I mean, you either make a decision that you want to write for Billboard 100, and that's a totally different type of writing. And nowadays, like 10 people write a song, and it's co-writing and all that stuff. And then there's writing like I do, you do, where it's you sit down and you write about your life. You write life stories. You're Americana, that kind of thing, and that's, to me, the real songwriting. It's the side B of your famous people's records. It's the songs they really meant to write.
It's less formula based.
Yes, absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So right before your 16th birthday in 1974, you woke up one morning, grabbed your acoustic and your sleeping bag, and decided that it was time to travel. And you decided this without telling anyone. So what prompted your sudden desire to leave at such a young age?
Like I said, I don't know if you ever get a chance to watch this movie about Hank Williams Sr. As a kid and stuff like that. And
did that inspire you?
Absolutely. Believe it or not, it was that, and it was just, I'm like ready to leave home. I'm like that kid guy in high school who's like, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to be here. I want to go do things. I'm ready to go, explore, that kind of thing. And I had a girlfriend, and actually a couple girlfriends, but one I was really, really close with, and we had a falling out, and I said, hell with it. And it was before school started, it was summer. And I had like $4.50 in my pocket, guitar, sleeping bag. I said, hell with it, I'm going down the road. So I just went out, left. That was it. And
really?
It was no meaning to it other than I wanted to go play guitar. And that was it. And sing. I'd stop in bars. I looked old enough, I'd stop, freaking put my hat on the table. I worked at a Salvation Army store for a day in Indianapolis, Indiana, to get some money for food.
It sounds like you obtained a pretty sweet hat while you were
And they had a
working there
nice
that
hat
one day.
in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I have this hat? He says, yeah, you're going to have to take it out of your pay. I'm like, sure, no problem. So I grabbed the hat and I'm wearing a hat and everything. But anyways, before I leave Indianapolis that night, I had like $3 left. So I spent the $3 on the phone in an actual freaking payphone to call the girl that I freaking had to fight with just to tell her goodbye. $3 to my name, right?
Yeah.
And so down the road I go, and I ended up, I met some great people, great time. I mean, a guy from Germany in a Volkswagen going across Kansas, smoked a bowl and the freaking whole bug is freaking full of smoke, couldn't see anything. And I'm like, yeah, this is living, this is right?
Right.
And he drops me off, he's like, I turn here, and I get out of the car and I got a sleeping bag and my guitar, and I look to my right, just a road. There's no trees, there's no houses. Look to my left, there's a tree. No houses, no cars. I see the bug going down the road. He's getting further and further away, smaller and smaller. I sat there for 3 hours on my sleeping bag playing guitar, nobody around.
Did you,
in the middle of nowhere.
Well, let me ask you this. So when you see him pulling off into the distance, and I would imagine at some point in that 3-hour period, it kind of sinks in for you what you're endeavoring on. At any point, did you kind of panic a little bit?
No. No.
All right, that's awesome.
I was still, I mean, I'm talking meeting guys that like in a pickup truck and a cooler in the back, and reach in the back of the cooler. He's going to Oklahoma to see his girlfriend, and we're drinking beer. Drops me off in Oklahoma, says, here, you can sleep in the back of the pickup. But be gone in the morning before my girlfriend gets up. And stuff like that. I got down to Galveston, and I walked up to a shrimp boat guy, and he says, hey, kid, what are you doing? I said, I don't know, you got any work? And he says, can you cook? I said, I'm the oldest out of 7 kids. Hell yeah, I can cook. I said, really? He says, get on, we're gone. I says, where? And he says, we're going shrimping. Threw me on the shrimp boat, had me up there changing light bulbs on the top of the mast and steering. And that night we get out, way out, this big storm comes up. If you ever seen the perfect storm, the boat?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's what it was like.
Wow.
And I'm like every shade of green that you could ever
bet.
be green in your entire life.
I bet.
And he says, go lay down for a little while and stuff like that. So I wake up in the morning and we have floated into the coral reef.
Oh, wow.
And we can't move. And somehow in the middle of the night we lost our anchor and stuff. So we had to wait for patrol boats to come and pull us out. We get in the shore and he says, 3 days, buddy, 3 days, we'll be ready. You come on back, 3 days, we're going back out. I said, oh, okay. I freaking hit the road, headed to Houston, walked in the police station, turned myself in. I said, I need a bus ticket home. I said, I'm ready to go home. So they threw me on the floor, freaking patted me down, threw me in a cell, called my mom and dad. My dad sent me a bus ticket and off.
Wow.
I went home. That was it.
So sitting here listening to you talk about your whole experience, I find it very fascinating because nowadays it's very, very much a promoted thought to think about doing what protects your peace and what's best for you, and following your dreams and really going after what you want,
right.
Even if it flies in the face of what we are all told are the societal norms. I love this because this is back in the 70s. We weren't at the point that we're at now where it's all about protecting your mental health and doing what's best for you. So you were, I find it fascinating, and I'm very impressed by it because you were very much a mold breaker at the time, because that wasn't what you did back then. I know you found a 9-to-5 and you worked, you did what you needed to do to earn your money, and that was pretty much it. And so for you to one, quit football and then say, I don't want to do this, and then to follow after what you wanted to do, it's very cool. You're a very cool person.
Yeah, and then, of course, I got married at 18. I had a son and ended up a second son, and married 3 years. And I joined the Army, and like you said, I got a job. When I got out of the service, I got a job right away and stuff like that. And so music kind of got put on the back burner.
Okay.
And kids were priority, and that's absolutely so. The children definitely. So I got away from music for quite some time.
That makes sense, though. I mean, you knew that your children needed to be a priority, so you did what you needed to do. I think that I think that's not an abnormal thing. Sometimes we have to walk away from our passions to really take care
Absolutely.
of what's going on in real life.
The break was the best thing ever for me because
that's great.
Actually just even having a son and getting married and stuff actually saved me.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, because you're sitting in a bar, you're 16, 17-year-old, and you're playing guitar until 1, 2 o'clock when they close the bar. Then you take everybody back to your house and you play until the sun comes up. You're running around with older women that you shouldn't be running around with, and that saved me. I would have been in a bad place because, I mean, we're talking 70s where you had parties where there was pot all over the coffee table and easily to have, and driving around with 8 bricks in the back of the trunk of your car and kind of stuff, you know, that kind of stuff. But that was the 70s. But like I said, it saved me. But then again, after like 3 years or so, that fell apart, and I was in Germany and everything like that. And then I met my future wife, and we've been together 41 years. I mean, beautiful lady.
That's
absolutely.
incredible.
And she saved me again. After going through, getting ready for a divorce and all that stuff, I was drinking again. And stuff, and she straightened my ass out.
I think it's beautiful the way the universe works sometimes, where we can be, I don't know, maybe completing certain patterns that are not the healthiest. And it's like the universe will send either a person in or a circumstance in, and it kind of shakes things up. And it helps you move away from whatever is toxic that's hurting you in your life.
But those experiences, you don't want to change those.
That's true.
They make you grow.
That's true.
They absolutely make you grow, and you learn from them. Hopefully you learn from them.
Absolutely.
Right. And for artists, you, myself, and lots of others, that gives them that incentive and the stuff to write about and share, because it's no longer just Toledo anymore that you're writing for. You're writing for the world.
Yeah.
With the internet and stuff like that, you're no longer just, it's not like me having to take a cassette down to the bar and have them listen to it, right? Or audition free for an hour and a half or whatever. You're on the internet. You're auditioning for the world, and you write those songs and you put it out there, and somewhere, someone, I mean, I hear it all the time. I get somebody, are you going to record that? Get Buck 69 to record that. You guys need to record that. I love that song because I put something acoustic on the internet or something. And it's just those kinds of things. And they're from Switzerland or Russia or Ukraine and stuff like that. I mean, so the first time that I heard someone say, I got your CD and we listen to it all the time, he was from freaking Moscow.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, really? I'm like, they're sitting there listening to Shave the Monkey on in Moscow.
Awesome.
I'm like, really?
So let's talk about some of the heavy hitter songwriters that you were actually covering back when you were hitchhiking. You referenced Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard and Hank Williams Sr. What about those 3 heavy hitter songwriters really connected with you?
Hank Williams Sr. more so because he was living it. He was writing about what he lived.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what it was. And I guess that's probably another one of those little incentives that says, if I'm going to be a writer, I got to live this. I got to live down, and I got to be poor. If I want to write blues songs or whatever, I got to be poor.
So you were striving for that authentic experience.
Yes. I wanted to be there, and I have been there. I've slept in the back seat of freaking cars and scrap yards. I've slept in gas station bathrooms.
Wow.
Under overpasses in a sleeping bag, back of friend's garage. I wanted to feel those emotions.
Wow, that's incredible. I think that's something to really think about for a second, because I think a lot of songwriting, there are people who are like the Bob Dylans, the Johnny Cashes, the Merle Haggards, who really do write from their own personal experience. But there are a lot of songwriters that are almost forced to reference outside sources and reference experiences that are not their own, which, granted, there's always a good place and a good opportunity to write songs about other people's experiences.
Right.
But to be able to have really rich life experiences of your own to then turn around and write about them, those are really powerful, powerful songs.
It helps me because a lot of times a lot of my songwriting comes from reading.
Okay.
I mean, and so then, like, say...
That makes sense because you referenced Oscar Wilde in your story.
Yeah, and there's, like, like even comics. I read a newspaper every day. One thing that I learned in high school, one teacher told me, he says, Tom, whatever you do, read a newspaper every day.
You still do that to
and
this day?
And I still do that to this day, every day.
Why did that stick with you so much?
Because it's just, I'm not real big on books.
Okay.
I will occasionally, but to me, a newspaper, I can grasp a lot of different things just in that newspaper on a daily basis. A song I wrote called My Shoes. I was looking at a comic, and one of the little kids was looking at Family Circus or whatever, all the kids and he's crying to his mom, these aren't my shoes. These are not my shoes, you know? And it just gave me the idea for My Shoes, this song. And it's about not being in your shoes when people are asking you for help. And you say, well, if I was in my shoes, this is what I would do for you. But you can't. You can't help everybody.
Right.
Right. So.
Right. Wow, that's incredible.
But that's the idea. I mean, that's where I get. And then also in writing, then I take the years of all the different emotions. It could be like if I'm writing a line comes up about a girl. I watched the movie Detroit Narcs. About two detectives were crooked as heck out of Detroit, Michigan. And there's a line where the guy's sitting in the car, he's talking to his partner and everything. He's telling him about his wife, that she died from cancer. And he says, that's the best place I've ever been. And that was a lie, right?
Wow.
I'm like, best place. And so I wrote a song, Best Place. But when I write it, I'm thinking about maybe 7 or 8 different girls that I knew over many years. And you combine those emotions all together and you come up with a song.
See, that's the beauty of music and songwriting though, is you can have a song that someone writes that's incredibly personal and very specific to one situation.
Yes.
You put it out to the public to listen to and it'll resonate with them, but it might resonate with them for an experience that absolutely has nothing to do with anything. You know what that's why music is so powerful.
Absolutely. And like I said, you're writing now for the world. So millions and millions of people, if you can get your song out there, Spotify, wherever, iTunes, YouTube, or whatever, millions of people, somebody's gonna see that and they're gonna relate to that song. There might be only 10 people here in Toledo that relate to it. There might be 100,000 relate to it out in the world. And it's just, don't give up on writing because maybe 5 people here in Toledo like your song and you were wishing it was everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's not here in Toledo.
That's true.
It's the whole world. You write for the whole world.
I think the situations that remind me that it's okay if you're not reaching literally everyone with your music is when you have that one person that will come up to you and share a very, very heartfelt experience with you about how your song specifically touched them, and knowing that you've helped one person connect, that trumps anything else. You know what I mean?
I like that, yes, but I've always written for myself.
I love that.
I mean, it's just like I have songs I'll go back and I redo and I'll work on them. But my whole goal in life as far as music is that one song that I can live with.
I love that. See, I think that's when you can tell that you're very evolved in your songwriting, when you can write and not care what anyone else, not think about it while you're writing through, oh man, somebody's gonna hear this someday.
Right.
To just be able to write for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like my wife is my greatest critic. I mean, she does not hold back. She'll tell me, no. And my son, my oldest son, Alex, acts the same way. No. I come up like 2 years ago, I says, I got this idea. I want to write a song about a roundabout. I says, roundabout, no freaking right turns. You never can get right. You're always left. No. I wrote it anyways. But still, it's good to have critics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you started a band in 1975 called T.C. Rogers and the Blues Hamilton Band. And then flashing forward to 2005, you formed Buck 69. What similarities do both groups share, and then what sets them apart?
Well, in 75, I was walking down the street in my neighborhood, and I heard the racket coming from a garage, and it was a kid on drums and another kid playing guitar. And I said, hey, can I hang out with you guys a little bit? Sure. So we started talking and everything. I said, you need a singer? I said, I play rhythm guitar and sing. And they said, sure, what do you do? And I told them, and they said, sure, come on over. So I started playing. The drummer, phenomenal. One of the best drummers I've ever known.
Wow.
He lived with his mom and his sister. His dad was dead. His living room was his drum set. There was,
nice.
They had no TV or nothing. He had double drums, double everything, sat there, reel-to-reel tape player, and that's all he did day in and day out.
You know what's really funny is a few musicians that I know, when I've walked into their houses for the first time, if I see that their living room is dedicated to music, I'm like, this is a serious musician. You know?
Yes. So that was the drummer. Then the lead guitar player, he was okay, pretty good. And so we started playing that too. I started doing the bar thing with, and young, drinking, stuff like that. I mean, playing covers. It was okay. It was fun. It was a good time. We were kids, you know what I'm saying? Now compared to 2005, the guys that I was in the band are professionals, absolute professionals. Buzz Anderson, BJ Love, Todd O'Bell, my son, Candace Coleman, professional all the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was totally different story. And to work with them, I'm just like blown away.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's one of the biggest gifts as a musician, when you can look at the people that you get to play with and actually feel really fortunate to play with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Most
a lot
definitely.
of respect. Absolutely.
So from what you wrote in your story, it definitely seems like you process all of your life experiences, both good and bad, through songwriting. And we actually talked about the Oscar Wilde quote that you put that in there. That was actually really profound. I hadn't read that quote before. And then you also posed the general question, how does one move forward without looking back? So how does songwriting help you move forward and process your life experiences?
It makes me grow as far as a songwriter. I mean, I'll go back and listen to songs that I wrote in the 70s or early 80s, that type of thing, and I'm like, Jesus, is that freaking corny?
We've all been there.
Did I really write that? And like my son passed away in '99, Thomas, and stuff like that. It took me like 3-4 years, and I finally wrote a song, that involved in that experience and those feelings.
Was that a healing experience for you to get that out in song?
No, you never heal from that. And a lot of people, like even my wife and stuff, it's like, you write a lot of sad songs. I do, but I believe if you're gonna write a song, it should make you feel good.
Yeah.
And I can write a sad song or depressing or whatever, and when I'm done with it, it makes me feel good. That
actually makes sense, because you've been able to process through those hard things and actually give yourself the space to fully feel it. Even if it's a negative emotion, there's something to be said for being able to allow yourself to fully feel something without putting a damper on it. And I feel like songwriting is a unique avenue for that.
Yeah, it's an art, absolutely. Everybody that's writing the songs, they're artists, and they're like painting a picture, building something. You start from the ground up, you hear a line somewhere, a movie, or you read it in the paper or whatever, and you got that right. I'm constantly writing. I'm writing in my head all the time. I keep a notebook in the car, I keep a notebook beside the bed. Most of the time I'll come up with a line at 3:30 in the morning. I'm laying there in bed and it's something just pops in my head. And I got to get up and write it down on a notebook. And it might be a month, it might be a year before something clicks with that. But now I'm at a point where I'm paying more attention to the format of the song, your A, B, B, all that kind of stuff, and the syllables and the rhyming, but also at the same time telling a story at the shortest possible time in 3.5 minutes, getting to the chorus in a minute, because that's where you need to catch it, because you lose your audience if you're not at a chorus per se, pretty much close to that minute time. because people want that chorus. And you start paying attention to more of those kinds of things than just writing stuff and throwing it out there and I got stoned over at so-and-so's place and we had a great time and partied and telling us it's more so it's collective to everybody.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So I think when everyone starts out initially in songwriting, you're literally just learning to get your words out, and then you continue to progress along over the years, and you get to a point where you're really focused on the artistry of it. You know what I mean? And I feel it actually doesn't surprise me at all that you would be at that point, because considering when you started songwriting, and that you really are a natural songwriter in that you think of something and you automatically want to record it. You know, you have a journal in the middle of the night. You want to make sure to get that down. And so it makes sense to me that over the years that your songwriting process would have evolved. I think that's a pretty natural thing.
Yeah, I think anybody that's writing songs and stuff, it's okay to get opinions from your friends and everything, and some close friends, somebody that's really like my wife and son and stuff like that, they're going to tell me,
They're going to give it to you very candidly.
Right. And say, should you record this, not record it, that type of thing. But I think a lot of people, they write songs and then they're afraid to do that next step. They might have a good song and they'll ask a few people, and maybe they're not real good on guitar, or they're not real good at presenting it, you know what I'm saying? But it could be a great song. It's just they're not behind it enough to, or got that to go do it. We
all get in our way a lot.
Yes,
we're all our biggest critics. And I think it's definitely a matter of almost laying down your ego a little bit and being able to be comfortable with the fact that, wow, this might not be a great song, but I benefited from it, from the writing experience, and be okay with the fact that it might not be a radio ready song, and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think, I think a lot of people need to get past the radio ready and make a decision. I think you have to be an established musician, play piano, especially if you can play piano, really good musician, guitar, that type of thing. If you want to go after that Billboard radio type thing.
Definitely.
I think a lot of people think they're not there, so they don't push their music. Whereas I think a lot of people, like I've watched all these years, Jeff and Kyle and all them, their songwriting and stuff and progressing and everything, and they're really starting to get more. And I see you and the younger ones, they're starting to get more on the Spotify and learn how to get that there, and they're not afraid, to just do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of them are starting to realize, screw this Billboard thing. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You get somebody that's famous or whatever to record your song, that's awesome. But right now you can make money and you can get that song out to the world. And you can make money off of that. If you pay attention, do your homework and be business smart about it, you can make money off of it. And I wish a lot more of you younger guys would do that. And I'm trying to push that the best I can as far as the Playing Tonight thing and stuff like that.
That's really good advice, though, honestly. I think because so much, speaking today from you're talking about younger people, thinking about all of the social media platforms, a lot of what people are seeing when they get on social media, we'll use TikTok because right now that's like the prime one, is you're watching and listening to incredibly polished versions of things.
Yes.
And I think it's intimidating, and I think for some people there's some self-esteem stuff going on to where you feel like you can't put it out if it's not this perfectly polished thing.
Sure, absolutely. And they shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
They shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them might be afraid that, you still got the old thing, people were, somebody might steal my song or something like that. Actually, if you freaking record it, put it on Facebook or whatever, it's time-stamped and dated. I mean, no one's going to steal the thing. It's done.
Exactly.
You've got it on there. That's it. That's yours.
Right.
You did it. That's what it is. And they shouldn't be afraid of that. They should, if they got a song or something that makes them feel good,
definitely
play it. Let people hear the darn thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's.
So let me ask you this. What is it about Toledo that you think stands out and is so special for a musician? What do you think makes Toledo a great place to be as a musician?
One, I think there's a great camaraderie, you would say.
There definitely is, yeah.
Among everybody. I mean, from the old timers that are around, I have so much respect for your Bobby May and Bobby G Blues and Pat Lewandowski and the older guys that are still out there hammering and gigging and stuff like that, and they do it because they love that, you know, and they're out there doing it. And then you got the younger kids and stuff, they're kind of watching them and they're learning and they're doing their thing, and you got Frank May and all these guys, they're phenomenal talent. It's the same thing.
Thank you.
And it's, everybody helps everybody. And it's been that way forever. That's why I love Toledo. When we had the band, when Buck 69 was performing, we did like Harley Packard band. They did a thing for MS every year and brought the guys in, and we did big benefits. And the people, the musicians in this town are not afraid to go out there and put their butt out there, haul their equipment, and play in the sun or the heat or whatever to help people. It's just an awesome thing. It's awesome.
It's actually a really amazing thing to be able to have a skill set that you know can truly change people's lives.
Yes.
And
yes.
I remember back when I first started playing fundraising events, I actually had a few moments where I felt a little guilty because I thought, man, like, to be able to give back what I love to do, for me, this is an easy way to give back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it kind of puts into perspective, wow, like, not only do I love doing this, this doesn't feel like a negative labor. This is a labor of love, and this is amazing.
Right. I try to tell, like, I see every now and then it's got, like, come and see us play, and you know they're playing at a bar or venue for the door.
Yeah.
Or playing for free, right?
Yeah.
And I try to tell them, if I'm talking to somebody, don't do that. Do not do that. I says, this exposure crap of playing at this place for free or for the doors, that is crap. I says, you want exposure, do a benefit. Do something that is doing good for somebody.
Yeah.
Play the benefits around town. I mean, you're gonna get exposure. You're helping somebody. You're not helping a bar make his quota for the night or whatever. I said, if a bar wants you there, they're gonna pay you. I don't care if it's $25, get paid.
I wish we could remove exposure as a form of currency. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
we should never.
Okay, so I feel like the whole exposure thing gets thrown out in different ways as never is a good thing. So either it will almost be an excuse for, well, I don't really need to pay you money because you're getting exposure, or if you take it to the flip side and you think about the awesome charity events that we have in town, you have some that will get so focused on, well, this is exposure, that you lose the heart of what you're playing for in the first place. So I feel like exposure as currency is not a good thing.
No, they don't need to do that. Open mics are good. If you need exposure and you're writing your own stuff and everything and you want people to hear it, open mics, sure. That's great. Go do that.
Yeah.
You know, get out there, get used to being on a microphone.
That's a great place for exposure and to network. That's a good networking opportunity.
Absolutely, and meet people and stuff like that. But just playing for free and exposure thing, not toilet.
Right. So let's talk about Playing Tonight in Toledo. So you run a Facebook group called Playing Tonight in Toledo, and I personally have benefited from this because back when I first became hip to the group, that was my first way to really put out that these are the places that I'm playing. But beyond that, I've met some people through that group and been able to, once again, talking about network with musicians. So who are some local artists that you didn't know about prior to starting this group that you now know and you enjoy following? And what has it been like for you to watch the positive ripple effect that this group has had?
I don't know if I've learned. The only actually few people that I've learned new are like a couple of the girls that you interviewed. Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know them. And of course, they hadn't been putting anything on playing tonight. So, but most of the people
you're pretty familiar with?
I'm pretty familiar with. I've either gone to see them, or watch them or on YouTube or on Spotify.
I think that speaks to
like
the
that.
tight music community in Toledo.
Right. So, and I've seen a lot, benefits and stuff like that and everything. Actually, what's kind of funny is what happened was pre-COVID, my friend Buzz Anderson, he posted on Facebook, "Where's everybody playing tonight?" And looking to see, because a lot of musicians will bounce around to the different places or go see somebody new.
And that's a very common post that you'll see actually, is where's everybody? I used to put that when I wanted to, when I had a free night and I wanted to go out and hear people, I would post something like that.
So the light bulb came on, right? And I'm like, right, that's it. And so I looked around and I wasn't, COVID hit and everything, but I wasn't going out as much. But I wanted to see and keep up with who was doing what and that type of thing. So I'm thinking to myself, there's other places people post where they're playing, but they'll post it on Monday and they're not playing until Thursday or Friday. By the time Friday comes around, that post is clear like 500 miles away on Facebook somewhere where no one knows where the hell it's at.
Is that what made you come up with the whole policy you post your gigs the day of?
So,
it's brilliant.
So I'm like, how many people get off work at 5 or 4 or 6 and say, hell with it, I'm going to get something to eat, or hell with it, let's go see somebody's jamming somewhere. And this way, I said, I work in an office, I work on a computer all day, I'm there from 8 to 5, and I'm like, I can do this. So I go in every morning, I clear out everything from the day before, that way the list is short.
I love that you do that.
And somebody can just go there on their cell phone or whatever, decide. But what I've really found that's helpful is how many people have graduated from UT or wherever, and they move. They go to Colorado, New York, or wherever for their jobs and stuff. But they come back to Toledo for reunions, to see their family, that type of thing. So they're coming back in town. They're not here all the time. They don't know what's happening, what the scene is and stuff. So they are on there. They get on there. So as soon as they get back in town, a bunch of girls, sorority or whatever, get together and say, where are you going? Oh, here, I'll check. We can go here. And they see where people were playing.
Yeah.
And it's right there. And it's worked perfect so far.
I've done that. So I'm a perfect example of a person who very rarely will plan very far out going out. But I might get off work and think in my head, like you were saying, I need to get dinner, or wow, I actually have energy. Let's go out and do this. And that's the first thing I'll check, is to see where my friends are playing. Yeah. So to have a hub like that where you can go to one place and you can find that is awesome.
And I think that at the same time, it allows younger people and stuff like that to see who's doing what. Where they're playing, what they're doing. I think a few people were hesitant at first because, well, I don't want them to know where I'm playing. I don't want them taking my gigs or that kind of thing. But more and more people are warming up to the fact of how it works and how good it works. And I'm really happy with that. I'm over 7,000 people now, and
that's awesome.
I want to get it to 10,000 is my goal. And that's why I started the marketing part of the Artist of the Week and the song.
I love that you did that. I love that you did that, even from the standpoint that it makes me really happy to see when one of my friends are featured. But even still, you featured me a couple times, and that feels really good. It feels really good.
And I just want to say that don't feel left out if I haven't put you on there yet, because it's a mathematical thing. You have to understand there's only 52 weeks in a year or whatever it is.
That's true.
And there's over like 200 and some artists that are playing in the Toledo area.
Yeah.
So I can only do one a week, so that's why I went to the song a week too. I'm trying to mix things up and get more people. No one's ever said anything, but I do feel kind of bad, because there are a lot of artists, and they're probably, I'm sure they're sitting there like, I haven't been on there yet.
Well, that just shows that you care and you wanna provide a space that has very equal footing for everyone.
I'm trying.
So
the
fact that
yes.
you even think about that and care about that, that's a great thing.
Yeah, there's no set first or anything like that. I just write down each week somebody that I see. Now, if I can see, like say somebody does post on Idiot Nation 419 or something like that, hey, I'm doing a CD release party.
Yeah.
Then I will try. Like Jeff was doing his show at Levi and Lilacs and stuff and everything, and I hadn't put him in yet, but I was kind of saving it for when he was going to do that show.
Yeah.
So I will try to do that and try to hook it up with something they have special going on. So I do try to pay attention to that.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I feel like a really good place for us to wrap this up and put a bow on it is talking about your song, I Am Toledo. So let's talk about that for a second. So we ran a contest when we were in the early stages of launching the podcast to help us find our intro outro song. And you were the winner of said contest. I found it interesting that you actually released the song I Am Toledo in 2009. And I love that 13 years later, the chorus gets heard on a weekly basis. So what inspired you to write this song that is such a big love letter to our city?
Well, I had on the CD, our first CD, we had Good Days, Bad Days, the song on it.
Yeah.
And anyways, the Toledo Public Library did a contest looking for songs of Toledo. And so everybody, I mean, all kinds of us, Candace, Kyle, Jeff, all kinds of people wrote songs about Toledo. And I said, I'm going to write a song about Toledo. Heck, so when I recorded my CDs, and I try to tell a lot of artists, and I'll let you know this now too, when you record a song in the studio, I highly recommend that when you get your copy with the lyrics and all that stuff, you get a copy with just the music, no vocals. Because there are a lot of advertisements and stuff like that out there that you could sell that music to as background music. So you do that. So I had the background music to Good Days, Bad Days. And I'm like, all right, I Am Toledo. So I start thinking about all the things in Toledo there are, and zoo and the paper. And
you hit so many good ones in the song.
And I tried to hit everybody I could. And that's where I came up with the song. And
I love it.
Out of like the top 5, I think we got People's Choice Award and a few other people. And now they actually, down at the library, there is a CD there.
I love that.
With all the songs that were on that contest that made the album. There's like maybe 25, 30 songs on there, all about Toledo. Everybody, Kyle, all of them have songs on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for everybody that's been listening and watching since the beginning, or even has only caught an episode or two, they've only heard the chorus. If they want to hear the full song in its entirety, because I've gotten to hear it both with your full band version of it and the acoustic. And the lyrics are amazing. So if our Toledo people wanted to hear the song in full, is Reverb Nation the best place?
That's the best place to go. It's because it's either that or down at the city library.
Okay.
They have copies at the library for people to go and listen to and check out of all the songs about Toledo.
That's awesome.
Or Tom Clawson, singer-songwriter, Reverb Nation. Yeah.
Okay. Tom, thank you so much for one, being willing to do this, but beyond that, I'm so glad that you have this indelible mark on the podcast now. You're a staple in this area, and I'm so glad that you've been able to do this, that I've been able to get to know you more.
I'm honored. Thank you.
I hold you in such high regard, and your experience and your insight, and you're just genuinely a good guy. So thank you so much for doing this. If you would, look right at this camera and tell our awesome Glass City humans where they can find you on social media, and then if you have anything specific you'd like to promote.
Facebook, the group Playing Tonight in Toledo, to find out where all the great artists are playing around town, and to hear some original songs and who's located where. My band is Buck 69. Just Google that. It's BUCK and the number 69. We're everywhere on the internet as per that. And then Tom Clawson, singer-songwriter, Reverb Nation.
Awesome. Yep. Awesome. Well, to all of you listening and watching, thank you so much for tuning in with us for the very first time, or for those of you that have been hanging out with us for the long haul. I'm so glad that you all had an opportunity to meet and get to know better the person who's made such a huge mark on our podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, please give us a like on our Facebook page. If you're a person who would just prefer to listen over watching, you can find us on both iTunes and on Spotify. Please follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Heart of Glass the Pod. Once again, we're just so grateful that you continue to tune in with us every single week. We can't wait to see you again, and we're so grateful that you tuned in to learn a little bit more, once again, about another awesome human who makes up the heartbeat of the Glass City. We'll see you again next time.